Seek not afar for beauty, lo, it glows into wet grasses all about your feet, in birds in sunshine, childish faces sweet, in stars and mountains, summits topped with snows. Go not abroad for happiness behold. It is a flower blooming at your door. Bring love and laughter home and evermore. Joy shall be yours as changing years unfold. In wonder workings or some bush aflame, we look for truth and fancy it concealed, but in earth's common things it stands revealed, while grass and flowers and stars spell out the name.
Welcome to the virtual sanctuary of Neshoba Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Sarah Osborne, Director of Religious Exploration and Seminary student. I am delighted that you are able to join us this morning for our online service. It is good to be together in spirit. Our physical church is located in the northeast corner of Shelby Farms, and just a short distance from the Wolf River in Memphis, Tennessee. We acknowledge that our gathering place is on the indigenous lands of the Chickasaw and Choctaw people. Neshoba is the Choctaw word for wolf. And now, let us enter into a time of worship. Spring has come. For this we are thankful. The divine is present all around, in the cool fall of a rainstorm, in the tiny buds of a flower, in the down of a newborn chick, in the fertile fields waiting to be planted, in the sky above us, and in the earth below us. We thank the universe for all it has to offer and are so blessed to be alive on this day. Welcome, life. Welcome, light. Welcome, spring.
Good morning. My name is Charles Wicker. And for the Chalice Lighting this morning, I'll be offering up an original song that I wrote with a friend of mine, Sophia Elliott. It's a UU inspired song called Standing on the Side of Love. It goes like this. Don't get me wrong, this here's a protest song, and I've had about enough, and it's time to circle up. There's a circle in the sand, and the question where you stand. We've all got a light to shine, a better angel lives inside. join me in the affirmation of our church? Love is the doctrine of our church, and the quest of truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Today's story is entitled All the Colors of the Earth by Sheila Hamanaka. Children come in all the colors of the earth. The roaring browns of the bears and soaring eagles. The whispering golds of late summer grasses. And crackling russets of fallen leaves. The tickling pinks of tiny seashells by the rumbling sea. Children come with hair like bouncy baby lambs, or hair that flows like water, or hair that curls like sleeping cats in snoozy cat colors. Children come in all the colors of love, in endless shades of you and me. For love comes in cinnamon, walnut, and wheat. Love is amber and ivory and ginger and sweet. Like caramel and chocolate and the honey of bees. Dark as leopard spots, light as sand. Children buzz with laughter that kisses our land, with sunlight like butterflies, happy and free. Children come in all the colors of the earth, sky, and sea.
I offer this poem by Alberto Rios, entitled When Giving is All We Have. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It's loud and quiet, big though small, diamond in wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue and I gave you yellow. Together we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together, we make something greater from the difference. If you would like to contribute to our offering this morning, now is your opportunity to do so. The offering for the care and sustenance of this congregation and its work will now be graciously given and received. Please give as you are able, utilizing the methods on the following graphic, and please know how very grateful we are for your gifts, no matter the size. Our first reading this morning comes to us from Aileen Suzara. It's an excerpt from Invoking the Ancestors. As an American, I have questioned whether American is a citizenship based upon geographical location, or if it is an identity that homogenizes and overrides individual culture. I have been educated to see nature in discrete parts, to break down and divide the world and her people into clearly demarcated components. I have been taught to sieve and choose to assign validity and authority to quantitative over qualitative, man-made over natural, citizen over immigrant, masculine over feminine, human over non-human, scientist over layperson, young over old, English over mother tongue, reality over legend. I have been taught to see trees and rivers as natural resources. I have purchased and consumed both mass-produced and imported foods whose entire life cycle, from planting to tending to harvesting, has been handled by machines or by people used as machines. I have heard that finding the sacred in every aspect in nature is called animism and paganism. I have been taught that as Americans, we cannot trust what cannot be quantified, and that what cannot be quantified has no monetary value. Our second reading comes to us from Cherokee poet Marilous Awiakta, called When Earth Becomes an It. When the people call the earth mother, they take with love and give love back so that all may live. When the people call earth it, they use her, consume her strength. Then the people die. Already the sun is hot out of season. Our mother's breast is going dry. She is taking all green into her heart and will not turn back until we call her by her name. The word nature is derived from the Latin nascere, which means to be born. It is no surprise that being in nature is where one can feel reborn or find a connection to that which is greater than self. Nature is all around me, and when I'm busy or stressed, doing all the adulty things, I sometimes forget this. I forget this connection with the natural world because it is so hard to be in relationship with the earth, to be here now, because my culture is at war with the land. My relationship to nature has been one of escape. I long to visit the ocean so far from my Memphis home. When life seems too much, I want to retreat to the woods, to smell the earth and be comforted by the hush of lush trees. I know that warm weather and sunny days lift my spirits to the point where I'm not sure I could live any place that was cold or excessively rainy. When my heart is open with curiosity or gratitude, I feel the tendrils of the natural world that call to me every day. This gives me a sense of whom I am. And I look at my children, I remember this. When I close my eyes, I can hear bird song, even from inside my house. When I go outside my home, I can feel the caress of a gentle breeze or the warmth of the sun upon my head. When I reach down to pick a mint leaf from my unruly garden and place it in my mouth, I can taste nature. The nature that surrounds me every day is more structured, somewhat constrained by the demands of human beings. I think my house has the only yard on the street that is not chemically treated to be a perfect lawn of green. I'm trying to save the bees. In contrast to my suburban life, wilderness is the uncomplicated, untamed, uncontrolled, and sometimes dangerous place where nature can do as it wishes. There is a freedom here. The places where this exists, many humans long to experience it. Henry David Thoreau sought a wilderness experience that is illustrated in his book, Walden. He says, "Every morning was a cheerful invitation to make my life of equal simplicity, and I may say innocence, with nature herself." I think this is what people are longing for, a return to innocence, a chance to be reborn. Thoreau sees his nature abode on Walden Pond as someplace apart from the rat race that people experience in daily living in the city. There is a struggle between the real world and the natural one. I believe this resonates with lots of people. This struggle began long ago when my ancestor colonizers saw the land and nature as something to be conquered. These people othered nature. They did not recognize the harmonious relationship that indigenous people held with the land. White people were and are in a hierarchical relationship to the earth. This has decimated the land and people. The editors of the book Colors of Nature, Savoy and Deming, say, "Our uniquely American relationship with this world has become unsustainable. The everyday separateness of nature to most Americans is not only harmful to the land, but to our psyches." And on some level, I think people recognize this. It's why we long for retreats and vacations in nature. Finding peace in the untarnished landscape is an escape from reality, but it need not be this way. Bell Hooks offers these words: "To tend the earth is always then to tend our destiny, our freedom, and our hope." Nature is sacred because it is free. It holds memories and it sustains life. Nature is a tangible reminder to all of us of the liberation that we are yearning for, a return to simplicity and to be moved by the wonder and awe of the moment. Nature ties us to the past and offers hope for the future. If I asked you to recall a moment in nature where you felt alive or at peace, what would you see in your mind's eye? In reading Annie Dillard's Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, I am reminded of my own childhood experiences in nature. She writes, "As I was walking along the grassy edge of the island, I got better and better at seeing frogs both in and out of the water. I learned to recognize, slowing down, the difference in texture of the light reflected from the mud banks, water, grass, or frogs. My favorite childhood place in nature is called Tommy's Pond. Located just a few streets over from my home, Tommy's Pond was an idyllic spot in our town. The actual pond is at the center of the property, surrounded by trees along the back with sprawling grasses to the right, which led up to a large hill. You could see Tommy's Pond from the street appropriately named Lake Avenue. Tommy's Pond was an easy walk from my home, and I regularly made the trek with my brother and/or friends when we needed an escape from home life or wanted a Goonies-worthy adventure. The pond had these large rocks that were placed around the edge of the water, and these rocks made great perching places from which to gaze at the water. One summer, we realized the pond was full of tadpoles. We would carefully lean over the water to try and scoop up some tadpoles so that we could take a closer look at these developing frogs. Some tadpoles had only tails, but a few had stumpy little legs. We spent hours skipping across the rocks looking for the critters in the water. Sometimes we tried to catch a fish with a net or one of those little kiddie fishing poles. And when we tired, we would spread out a picnic blanket to gaze up at the clouds. My brother and I would try to imagine the creatures we could see forming in the clouds in the blue sky. Robin Wall Kimmerer talks about the pulse of life that runs through all things. She gives us the Potawatomi word Yahweh, spelled Y-A-W-E, to describe the animate to be. This word names that which is possessed with life and spirit. I think Tommy's Pond is Yahweh for me. It is a sacred space in nature that draws me in, that gives me a feeling of wholeness. Where do you find spaces of wholeness that are possessed with life and spirit? These moments and places in nature shape us. Zora Neale Hurston says in her autobiography, "Like the dead seeming cold rocks, I have memories within that came out of the material that went to make me. Time and place have had their say." She offers a truth that people are shaped by the land and place as much as the land is shaped by people. It is arrogant to think that we could ever command the elements without some reciprocal impact. I am shaped by my experiences living on the land in Memphis, in Alabama, and New Jersey. I admit my relationship to nature is one that I have taken for granted. I am guilty of a consumerist relationship to the land, but I am awakening to this reality so that I can do better. One particularly concerning issue to the land and people of Memphis is a new environmental threat that would potentially impact the city, particularly the predominantly Black neighborhoods to the south. This threat is the proposed Byhalia Valero oil pipeline that would go right through the southern part of the city and destroy homes, lands, and more. Memphis is blessed with one of the most amazing nature features, an aquifer that lies beneath the city. This aquifer produces some of the best drinking water I have ever tasted. Activists who are concerned about the pipeline running through Memphis are warning of the dangers of contamination to this aquifer. There are also concerns that this pipeline will not only poison the water, but the people of South Memphis. And the pipeline would run dangerously close to the New Madrid fault line, which could cause earthquakes during its construction or after. The Valero pipeline proposal has garnered national attention. Several local activist groups, particularly Memphis Community Against the Pipeline, also known as MCAP, are demanding we stop the pipeline. MCAP even hosted Al Gore as a speaker for a protest rally against the pipeline last weekend. Gore called the pipeline project ruthless, reckless, and racist. After the city was on a boil water order for a few weeks this winter due to the massive snowstorms and extreme weather, the issue of protecting the water seems more personal. More people are starting to pay attention to the fact that we cannot just consume nature or value profits over people. Robin Wall Kimmerer raised an important point in her work that when we divorce ourselves from nature, when we other the natural world, when we detach ourselves from engaging in relationship, the same thing happens not only in people's relationship to the earth, but with each other. When reciprocity and balance are ignored, when we stop caring about what happens to our neighbors and kin, we are all diminished. Establishing healthy relationships and respecting the worth of all beings on the planet is what our Unitarian Universalist faith calls us to do, to remember our connection to the earth, to forge new and better relationships. It's not just about survival, but about flourishing and collective liberation. My faith is bound in this effort to help us all get free, to find wholeness. The spaces where we live, they have had their say in who we are. Nature holds the memory of the past, the freedom of the present, and the hope of tomorrow. May we listen to what the land is saying to us. May we respect the reciprocity of the ecosystem of which we are a part. May we live in harmony with nature. Until we are together again, be at peace, create joy, and live with love. Amen, and blessed be.
Spring has now unwrapped the flowers. Day is fast reviving. Life in all her growing powers toward the light is striving. Gone the iron touch of cold, winter time and frost time. Seedlings working through the mold now make up for lost time. Herb and plant that winter long slumbered at their leisure now be stirring green and strong, finding growth their pleasure. All the world with beauty fills, gold the green and hens sing. Flowers make glee among the hills, set the meadows dancing.
Hello again, this is Bill Seiler with another video recap of the most recent meeting of the Church Board of Directors. We met via Zoom on March the 16th. Kathy Hickok, our church secretary, will prepare the official meeting minutes for approval at the next board meeting. But in the meantime, here's an informal recap of what happened. Before the meeting, the board got written reports from Reverend Beth, from the Finance Committee, from the Treasurer, and from our Director of Religious Exploration. And we also got an oral report from Chelsea Orland, our membership coordinator. Sarah Osborne took a moment to highlight one particular item in her DRE report. Kendra Reynolds is leaving us. Kendra and her family are moving to Thailand. Sarah had this to say about Kendra's work in RE, quote, "She has served a tremendous ministry, not only in working with the children at Neshoba, but in transitioning her class to an online format during the pandemic. She has been joyful, inspiring, and committed to the children. It is hard to imagine filling Kendra's shoes." End quote. Meanwhile, Sarah, Reverend Beth, and Megan Woodland have been meeting and are aiming to fill Kendra's vacancy by the time the new church year starts on July 1. Next, the board took up one item of old business. Kathy Hickok reported on her continuing effort to update the membership directory that is on our website. We maintain a current and comprehensive database of membership information, but that information has not been finding its way into updates of the website directory. Kathy has figured out why, and she believes that going forward, our database and our website directory will automatically sync up so that the website directory will be current going forward. The board had 3 items of new business on the agenda. First, Jeannie Ortman reported on the work of the good folks heading up this year's stewardship campaign. Hopefully you are already aware of their efforts because you've gotten an email announcement from them regarding this year's campaign. It was clear to the board that this committee is off to a great start, doing good work to ensure a successful pledge campaign. Second, the board turned our attention to the FY22 budgeting process, a process that has already begun in the Finance Committee. We looked at that committee's very preliminary budget proposals, which also included their projection of the amount of pledged dollars it would take to fund those proposals in a balanced budget. That in turn sets a goal for the stewardship campaign. Once that campaign is concluded and we know how much was pledged, then the Finance Committee and the board can finalize a detailed budget proposal for congregational consideration at our annual meeting. The final item on the agenda had to do with building and grounds security. Over the course of the last year, we've had a few trespassing incidents and a few cases where inadvertently our own folks left the building unlocked. The board didn't come up with any concrete solutions. Maybe more cameras, maybe a monitored alarm system, maybe some sort of panic button installation. In the end, the board agreed to refer this issue to the Building and Grounds Committee for their further study. That was it for official actions taken. We'll meet again on April the 20th. You are welcome to drop in and join us at that time. Take good care.